Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dogco Secrets podcast. My name is Michelle Kline. I'm your host, and I'm also the founder of Dogco Launch, where pet care companies come to grow and scale. And in today's podcast, I want to give you some tactical strategies for what to do when you have the very relatable moment as an entrepreneur of I really want to be done. So let's get into it. This is a feeling that I am convinced every entrepreneur has had at some point of like, oh my goodness, what is happening? What have I signed up for? I just want out. I just want to be done. I've hit a wall and I feel frustrated. Like the feelings feel very loud in that moment. It can be incredibly overwhelming. It can be hard to see your way through. And it also can be hard to not make decisions out of emotion when you hit a place like that. So today I want to talk about some really tactical strategies to help you slow down to really think about what you want to do. And I do want to be clear and kind of frame this conversation from the very beginning. I do think sometimes your business is not serving you, and it's okay to call that. I'm really not a big believer of doing things out of obligation. You may be familiar with the phrase sunk cost fallacy. This idea of like, well, I put so much into this, I should just see it through. I should just keep it. Not a believer of that. If it doesn't serve you, there is something very honorable about calling that. I'm not opposed to it. I don't think just because you opened a business that has to be your forever thing. I don't think you have to do anything. But what I don't want to see you do is make a hasty decision out of burnout, overwhelm, frustration, especially if it's something temporary. And that's really who I want to speak to today. But I feel the need to qualify that on the front end because I don't want that to be misconstrued as just hang in there, like you should do anything. I think the whole point of being an entrepreneur is so that you can stop should-ing on anything and build what you want to build in the world the way you want to build it. So just to preface that. But if you are feeling this, I might throw in the towel, and maybe it would be wise to kind of pause, unwind that, and see what's going on under the hood, kind of take a step back for a second. That is who I'm inviting into this podcast today to have a slightly deeper conversation. So I heard Layla Hermosi say a phrase recently that really stood out to me where she said, I quit when I should have rested. And I want to anchor us in this conversation because oftentimes when I have a conversation with a business owner that is thinking about throwing in the towel, it's usually for one of two reasons, oftentimes both. Number one, they are very tired. They have just been running for a really long time without rest, without boundaries on their work. That's kind of spilled over into commitments they've made to clients, to their team, like things they've just continued to shoulder. They've really just like acted as an absorber for all of the hard things in the business without relief. And so that tends to be the first category of people who I talk to who are really feeling like I want to be done. It's usually out of a very exhaustion-centered framing. The second category of people that I tend to speak with who are flirting with the idea of maybe I just want to be done tend to be people that are oriented in a very disempowered place. I don't mean that in a shaming way. I mean that it feels like a lot's out of their control and there are changes that it would require for them to get to a better place. And for whatever reason, operating out of those changes being something they could actually do. Whether it's changes that they're afraid of, whether maybe they feel like those changes aren't actually possible. So they feel very much stuck in their situation and like they don't have a way out that they see that feels constructive or productive moving forward. So there's kind of this temptation of I'm just going to like hard left exit. And again, that might be the right choice for you. It would not be my place, and I never would tell another entrepreneur, like, wrong choice for you. And I think that you have built an asset that has value. You have built an asset that if you are booking business serves people in the world in some way. And I do think it is worth asking, is there a better path forward that makes your business truly work for you and still retains the value it brings to the marketplace and the value it brings to other people and the value it brings to your team? A lot of the burnout that I talk to clients about has to do with their team, has to do with hiring, turnover, staffing, kind of the inconsistencies there and how frustrating it can be. So, if any of this applies to you, some strategies to help you slow down, consider what you really want to do are incoming. So, number one, what I would encourage you to do, I understand this is a privilege. I also know it's possible, is to take some time off. I did an exercise with Dogco this week in my track 2 call. So I have 2 levels of Dogco this year. I have level 1, which are people who are brand new coming into Dogco. So it's not like a education level. It's more of just like, this is your first year in the program. And then I have year 2, where we do content that builds on year 1. It's kind of this like stair step model. And so I was working with my track 2 or year 2 clients. An example that I gave to them, we were looking at the ROI of investment into your business. This was a lesson I did this past week. One of the conversation pieces that I gave to them was, I believe there is so little that has more value for a business than an owner taking a step away from the business to plan, to reflect, to strategize, and to give themselves the gift of time to really put into deep thought. I think there's so much value in that. And I over and over again see companies where the owner will choose not to do that because it would be difficult to figure out. It would cost money. It feels like I can't step out of the grind. But especially on the money piece, taking a whole week away where I invest in going somewhere and staffing up the business so that I can, maybe paying someone extra to manage for the week, just feels so unapproachable. And yet I'm going to buy a whole new merch line for my team this week or this month or whatever it may be. And I don't want to minimize what that investment is because merch has a lot of great benefits and branding and brand awareness. But will there truly be such a huge ROI on that compared to you as the owner getting to plan for a week, getting to strategize, getting time away to just think and create and dream? Probably not. I genuinely think that's one of the most valuable things that you can do for your business. And I also think it's one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself, especially if you're in a place where it just feels like I want to be done. Oftentimes, I have found that's a reflection of we haven't stepped out of the noise enough or long enough to really get our head above water and to just look around and take a beat and figure out what the best vision of your business would be. Not where it is now, but where it could be in the future. So first things first, take a step out of the noise, step out of all of the hustle. If that means that you intentionally do a slower week of sales, that's okay. If that means, hey, we're going to block off 2 weeks this summer and close as a business, you can do that. I don't know if anyone's shared that with you. You can do that. I wouldn't cancel on clients, but if you haven't booked services yet, communicate with your team. Hey, we are taking a hiatus. Plan your time off around this. You don't even have to ask for time off. I'm going to give it to you. You can do that, or you can put someone in place to manage. Like, that's absolutely possible to do a temporary manager. It takes intention to get time away, but it is absolutely possible. And if you are feeling on the brink of, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore, the very first thing I would recommend you do is step out of the constant motion, step to the side, let yourself recenter, and think about what you actually want. Because at the end of the day, everybody can leave your business but you. And you can. It's called selling. But that takes a lot more than just like turning a notice like it does for an employee. So I think it's really important for you to think about, what do I want out of this business? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my schedule to look like? What work do I love doing that I want to keep? And what work do I hate doing that I want to put somebody else in place to take? Because that is going to be the first piece in kind of redesigning a business that actually serves you. The second thing I'd recommend you do, so first, kind of step out of the noise. And the second is to do that deep level reflection. I would take a look at the last year. I would take a look at what out of the work you did really brought you a lot of joy and brought like a lot to the business. What out of the work that you did felt like spinning your wheels? I think that's important to just name. I would write it out. There's a mantra I've started in dog code this year. If it's not written, it's not real. So that would be one of the first things that I do is actually spend some time writing about your business, writing about what's working, writing about what feels like it isn't or it doesn't feel like it's serving you. The third thing I would do is take a look at that list and try and get really specific about what on that list is actually within your control that you are acting like isn't. And I would just have a very honest moment with yourself. There's so much more in control of your business than it feels like on a day to day or on the day to day. And push yourself to see that. That doesn't mean that you have to take action on it. There are reasons you're avoiding whatever the hard thing is, whether it's a hard conversation with someone, whether it's boundary you have to renegotiate. Like there's probably some form of renegotiation in whatever thing you're looking at that feels too hard to bridge right now. But I actually am not trying to get you to take action on it. What I want you to do is see it as something within your control and a choice that you're making. Like, let's use the example of a staff member. If it is a staff member that is really causing the friction, like it's making things so much harder, you have the wrong person in the wrong seat. I'm not asking you to remove that person right now. I'm not asking you to fire them or to renegotiate their role. What I am asking you to do, though, is to take a look at how by not making a change, you're choosing for things to stay the same. And I know that sounds counterproductive to enjoying your business more or feeling less like you want to throw in the towel. It's kind of like, great, now I'm in the situation that you're telling me I chose. I understand that probably doesn't feel good, but what I think that does do is place you back in the driver's seat because there is so much you can do. There's so much that is within your control that it all starts with just framing it that way. So that is the third thing. The fourth thing I want you to do is look at what change could you make that would drive an 80-20 return for your enjoyment of the business. So 80-20 principle is something we talk about a lot in Dogco. And it's basically about how to drive a disproportionate return off of effort. There are 80-20 returns all around us, all around you. So is it like a single client that if you removed them, it would remove 80% of the friction? Is it a single team member that if you removed them, it would remove 80% of the friction? Or is it a role that if you put that in place, it would remove 80% of the friction? So it's this idea of disproportionate investment to your return. So I would encourage you to look through the things on your list that are in your control that you could change and look at what would be the easiest thing to fix for the biggest return in the direction I want to go. And whatever that thing is, let's put a plan in place. Even if you decide that you want to exit your business, and we're actually in the middle of creating a way for Dogco companies to do that to other companies inside of Dogco because it's a legitimate choice. Like, there's no rule book that says because you started a business, you then have to do it for the next 50 years. Absolutely not. You may want to pivot careers. You may want to open a different business, like very valid choices. But even if you decide I want to angle to an exit, that takes time and preparation if you're going to get the real value for your business. If you just want to close up shop and you decide that's the move, that is a choice. If you want to maximize the value out of what you've built, though, that takes time, that takes intention. And there are steps we can take to make it less hard to exist in your business until you get to that point in time. So I would encourage you, pick out of this time away, out of the step back, the step out of the noise, pick a next step forward. I know the seasons that I felt the most miserable in my business, my pet care business specifically, there were a couple seasons where I felt very indecisive about what I wanted to do with my business. And I also felt very stuck. I felt like I had one foot in, one foot out. And that was just a very bad feeling. I didn't feel resolved in any of my actions. I didn't feel like fully bought into what I was doing. And that's not a place that I want business owners to exist in. And so I think out of the time away, identifying next steps you can take in a direction is really important and is really helpful. And they don't have to be next steps. I'm going to close, I'm going to sell. They can be next steps. And I'm just going to pick 2 to 3 things that I can implement to create change, to make things better for the way I exist with my business right now. And then the final thing I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and plan your next time off window, whether that's time off to work on the business or just truly like time off, like pure time off. Both very valuable, both very needed. I plan my windows of time off about a year in advance. I commit to them. I don't waver on them. I take at least 4 weeks off a year. Somewhere in the 4 to 6 range is kind of the sweet spot for me. At least a week off a quarter, if not closer to 10 days for like a couple of the quarters. And I plan in advance when that time is going to be and I protect it. I'm ruthless around it because I know for me to stay well as a business owner, that's about how much time I need. Somewhere in the four is kind of on the minimum side. I usually need closer to 6. And after doing this for about a decade, I kind of know the cadence at which I need it. And it's pretty much quarterly. I usually take a week off quarter 1, a week off quarter 3, and then some more extended time off in the summer and around Christmas. For me, that's worked pretty well as long as I actually commit to it. And what I have found being a business owner is if I wait until I feel like I need time off, unfortunately, it is too late. At that point, I've already hit burnout. I read the signs, I read the clouds, I know when it's coming, and I make sure that I schedule it so that I can rest proactively and reset proactively. So that's the last assignment for you. As you are, feeling the weight of everything in your business, go ahead and schedule that next window of time so that you stay well this year. So I'm cheering you on. You got this.